Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to this Aimless Wanderings vlog on Daleks of the Apocalypse Part 2. And I think we've also passed the halfway mark with, I think it was the Corner of the Universe, we passed the halfway mark of the first 60 audios. Also, something else to note, the first 4 episodes in this wave, they all started out with about a minute or two of music on their own. The Corner of the Universe was the only one with an exception, as that had the Doctor's kind of voiceover at the start, but Mortal Pomposity and Deadly Killer, they had about a minute or two with just music, and I think you just have to try and imagine the events as they're going along. Daleks of the Apocalypse Part 1 does a similar thing, but not as long, and it doesn't take as long. So, it's just something I wanted to bring up, and I haven't yet. So, in this story, in Part 2, the Doctor has to find a cure to get rid of the virus as it's now affecting the Daleks, and they really want his help, so they agree to allow him to cure humans and Daleks alike, and in return they'll leave Earth. And also it's revealed that, of course, the Daleks were behind the virus in the first place, a la Dalek Invasion of Earth. And it was Dilbert, seen in I, Dalek, and will become Fruit Pastel's companion in later stories, was the one responsible for administrating it. However, he was not exiled for this. He would get exiled for something completely different in, as we'll see in Dawn of the Dilbert. Again, Dawn of the Dilbert instead of the Dawn of Dilbert, or Dawn of Dilbert. Benji likes having the in the middle of the title, even if it doesn't quite make sense, like Death of the Davros or Dawn of the Dilbert. I guess it's being a Death of the Daleks fan does that to you. Or a Third Doctor Dalek story fan, I guess. Anyway, so the Doctor and Davros and the Daleks have to come up with a cure. Meanwhile, a mutated Dalek starts chasing Ren and Tim, but it only gets so far at its slow speed. Eventually the Doctor finds a cure and destroys all the Daleks with it, as it actually doesn't save the Daleks from the cure, it actually destroys them. Of course, Davros survives, as we'll see him in later stories, and there'll be more Daleks in the future. However, Ren is upset that a lot of lives have been lost. Yeah, I don't understand it either. Ren is really upset that the Daleks have been killed. Not the fact that the Daleks have died, it's just the fact that a lot of lives have been killed. She's like, all those lives! She's very upset with the fact some people died, but the fact is those people were Daleks. They didn't really matter, and she's just moaning about it. And the Doctor's like, well, it would be genocide if it wasn't for the fact that the Daleks keep coming back. Which makes sense, they're Daleks. If it was not the Daleks, if it was like, say, some characters we'll see in a later story, then yes, it would make sense, it'd be a shocker, it'd be out of character. But this is the Daleks, the Doctor destroys the Daleks on a regular basis, especially in his following incarnation in this universe. So already we're seeing signs of Pompous becoming dynamite. He's starting to change who he is. And also, in some ways, in not becoming the Doctor anymore. But in also other ways, in becoming his future self. Either way, it's both showing he's not really his current self much anymore, is he? Yeah, and Ren joins them because Tim insists that they need her to help look after the Doctor, even though the Doctor had already told him that Ren was would die if he took her with him, or he would have to sacrifice himself for her. And so the fact that he doesn't want her on board for those reasons, Tim should realise that. But oh no, the Doctor needs to be kept in check. And he just makes sure Ren's on board. I guess maybe he also really likes her as well. But yeah, Tim is being a bit illogical here. He wants someone to help look after the Doctor, but the fact that he asks the woman the Doctor is trying to not get killed or not have around so he wouldn't get killed. Yeah, and Jim, knowing full well about all this, as he's been explained in the previous 3 stories, in bits at a time, and he does it anyways. It's like he almost wants one or the other to be killed off. So, overall, the ending, the fact that Ren just joins the TARDIS team, even though, because Tim asked her to, pretty much shows that he isn't very responsible. He wants to keep the Doctor in check, but at the same time, he's inadvertently allowing one or the other to be potentially killed off in the future, if time goes as it does, if the Doctor doesn't get his way. So, yeah, Tim's a bit of an idiot at the end of this story. It won't be the last time. So, yeah, final thoughts. Daleks of the Apocalypse, besides the missing logic in the end. If it was for the fact that it was a bit more of a logical ending, with the fact that it's Daleks being killed off, but there's still a lot of lies, even though those lies are Daleks, it doesn't really matter. And Tim letting Ren on board the TARDIS despite the fact he knows he, the she, or the Doctor will die because of that. Then the story is getting an 8 out of 10. If it wasn't for the lack of logic at the end, then it'd probably be a bit of a 9. It would be a 9. So that's Daleks of the Apocalypse Part 2. It's a great story, but there's some lack of logic at the end. And also the fact that the way Davros survives. I know this is trying to be a parody and a spoof comedic series, but the fact that Davros escaped with an escape pod from old age death, my guess is that he faked his death, and then when the Doctor was gone, he escaped and was cured, or was already cured and again faked his death. Then when the Doctor wasn't looking, he ran off and joined his Daleks, causing the plague to be spilled across the planet. But the way they execute it in this story isn't as great. Davros is great, of course, and Benji does a great performance as Davros and the Daleks. And I love the bit when Tim and Ren are talking about how the virus can affect Daleks. And Tim goes, "You mean zombie Daleks?" And the Dalek goes, "Ah!" as it's in pain being transformed by the virus. But it's also like it's heard what Tim said and is frightened. It's scared by this thought and it's like, "Oh no!" So, yeah. So that's Daleks of the Apocalypse Part 2. Next time we will be looking at a very good historical story where we're introduced to the series' main villain, the Flickerer, in Flicker. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.